disgusting.
Yeah. Right, her English feels way less fluid. Her pronunciation sounded very English there. Vous avez été beaucoup trop nombreux à me demander cette vidéo. Et aujourd'hui, c'est le grand jour. On parle de Lena Situation. Apparemment, elle a appris l'anglais en regardant High School Musical.
Ça commence avec High School Musical.
Et maintenant, elle interviewe des stars internationales, défile au Met Gala. Franchement, c'est un parcours impressionnant. On va décortiquer son anglais ensemble. Les trucs qu'elle fait super bien.
And we could not find a car anywhere.
Je suis choqué.
Et on va aussi voir ce qu'on peut apprendre de ses petites erreurs. Restez bien jusqu'à la fin pour découvrir sa note finale. Before we start, I want to tell you that I have made a lovely free gift for you. It's the Lena Situation English Challenge, which you can download from the description. So in it, you'll find some of the things that Lena does really well, maybe some of the things that she has trouble with, and you can compare your English to hers. So as always, let's try and go back in time a little bit. Maybe we can even see a bit of a progression. So here I have found a video from 5 years ago, 2020, and Lena is in Los Angeles with an American friend tasting some French snacks.
Okay, are you excited to try some of those products?
So excited. What should we start with?
I think I'm gonna be quite surprised because we have some sweets.
Yeah, she seems really comfortable, really confident so far. Her pronunciation sounded very English there. You're gonna be quite surprised.
Quite surprised.
And then she talked about some sweets.
Some sweets?
Of course, calling les bonbons sweets is much more English, whereas I'm sure you probably have heard the word candy, which is much more American. But I have another word that I like to use, which is an Australian word that I think is the cutest of all, and that is lollies. We call them lollies.
So I think we're gonna try those ones. Just like the most original French candy.
Like caramel.
Yeah, can you pronounce the brand?
Carambar.
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 $7 in the US for some caramel. It's like not even that good. Wow.
And the thing is that you have a joke on the inside.
Okay.
They're famous for the dad jokes.
It's so hard.
Yeah, one of my friends broke her teeth.
Oh my god.
I like here that Lena described these kind of corny jokes on the inside of Carambar as dad jokes. Yes, these kinds of bad jokes that your dad might tell. Tell me your best dad jokes in the comments. I love a dad joke. I heard Lena also say that one of my friends broke her teeth on a Carambar. Careful here, one of my friends, right? One of a group.
If your dad gives you $20 and you spend $19 in candies, what do you have left?
$1.
And the joke is a punition? Huh, you don't say punition in English.
A what?
Yeah, she knows that. Yes, we do not say punition in English. Punition, punishment. Careful, in this joke she said you spent $19 in candies.
In candies.
This one is on, right? We spend money on something.
Petits oursons, can you say it?
Petit ourson.
Marshmallow.
Okay.
With chocolate.
The only thing sort of that really stood out to me here was, and this is something I hear really often, which is the pronunciation of the word chocolate, right? I think it was a bit soft, right? But like chocolate.
Chocolate.
Yeah, careful, we have the classic schwa sound, chocolate, just 2 syllables, chocolate. So we can remove the word late from chocolate because chocolate never arrives late. Always arrives just at the right time. Is that a dad joke? Did I just tell a dad joke? Probably.
ASMR. Okay, so let me explain to you.
Okay.
When we go in France and ask for an iced tea, this is what we have.
Oh.
When we go to the US, when you ask for an iced tea,
You get gross.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
I really like how Lena talked about ASMR.
ASMR.
What she did really nicely is that she named the letters very well. It sounds so basic, but I feel like it's something a lot of people kind of neglect, naming the letters correctly. A, right? It's not A, like ASMR, right? It's ASMR. She said it really nicely. And something that I thought was really interesting is that first she said,
when we go in France,
but when we go to the United States,
when we go to the US,
so she used 2 different structures here, to go in or to go to, and the correct one is to go to, right? Careful, we say to go to France. Go is always with to, careful.
And the last one, only one where I cannot, even if I want to, I can't explain the taste.
Okay.
It is so special and It's weird.
We've encountered maybe a slightly more advanced structure.
Even if I want to, I can't explain the taste.
While I think Lena did a fantastic job at getting through this, and I think she explained her idea really well, here the correct structure would be, even if I wanted to, I couldn't describe the taste. It is a second conditional, so even if I wanted to, here we're using the past simple. So she's saying, I don't want to, but even if I did, I couldn't. It's a hypothetical situation with an imaginary outcome, but I couldn't describe it even if I wanted to. But I don't want to because I just want to eat it.
Anywho, thank you for coming to my channel.
You're welcome.
I love this ending. I think Lena used a really nice word here. She said, anywho.
Anywho.
It's an informal version of anyhow, but anyhow is quite formal, right? But it replaces anyway, like bref. Okay, so even at this point, I think we can see that she has really nice flow. I mean, you can see here she's had the chance to travel. From what I understand, she also studied in New York for some time. So she's had the chance to really interact with native speakers. But not everyone has the opportunity to speak English on a regular basis. And so I do often get asked what I think about apps for learning English. And to be honest, I find that most apps are quite passive. They're not great for helping you to actually speak. However, there is one app that I really love and that I often recommend to my students, and that is BeSpeaker. BeSpeaker is a mobile app with over 2 million downloads, which does not surprise me at all because it's a really fantastic app dedicated entirely to helping you actually speak English. I know I say this all the time, but I'm going to say it again today, that speaking is a physical skill, not just an academic skill. And the only way to improve is to get your mouth and your tongue and your vocal cords moving. So how does BeSpeaker, a mobile app, help you to do that? So the app has two main parts. The first part, my personal favorite, there are over 3,000 short video lessons, which start from beginner all the way up to upper B2 level. You start by shadowing or just repeating new vocabulary and phrases.
To pay attention to.
To pay attention to. Then you translate. I've never paid attention to fashion trends. And finally, you work your way up to answering questions in a dialogue.
Do you pay attention to fashion trends?
Recently, I've started to pay more attention to fashion trends. All with speech recognition, which means that you get instant feedback. This is such a great way to not just learn new vocabulary, but it also really helps you to internalize those correct English sentence structures by making and building different sentences with those words. The second part is BeSpeaker's AI tutor mode. So you can speak to it just like you would a real person, but without any of that pressure or stress. Hi, can we talk about sweets from around the world?
Hi, Gia. Absolutely. Sweets from around the world are a delicious topic.
So if you are going to use an app to improve your English, this is the kind of app that you need. Click the link in the description to download BeSpeaker today. You can try out a few lessons completely free. There is a 7-day free trial of the pro version. And if you love it, don't forget to use my code GIA to get 40% off your pro subscription. Okay, now we have a video from 2024, 1 year ago, and she's interviewing the cast of Challengers. A different setting, I guess. It's a little bit more formal, right? This is a formal interview. Let's see how she does.
Hi.
Hello.
Bonjour. Luca Guadagnino's Challengers is not a movie about tennis. It is a love story between 3 complicated people whose lives are intertwined through tennis.
Whoa, like, I feel like here, like, something has happened to Lena, right? Her English feels way less fluid. I think she's nervous. I think Lena is kind of stressed. I feel that she's reading her notes and it's kind of making her flow and her intonation sound far less natural. That's so fascinating, isn't it? It just goes to show that we are all affected by nerves, even the great Lena Situation. Interesting, right? For example, I heard her say complicated instead of complicated. We've got here whose lives are intertwined.
Whose lives are intertwined.
Here we should say whose lives are intertwined through tennis.
Through my social media, I might usually speak to a younger audience who's not used to watch movie as the older way, which means going to the movie theaters. I want
other way.
The older way.
What I understood here was watching movies the other way.
As the older way.
Like autre. And I can see that Zendaya also understood that because she says the other way. But here I've got the subtitles that say Comme au bon vieux temps, So I think that Lena wanted to say the older way. And so here I think we've got a bit of a mix up with the vowels, right? Other or older. I think it's kind of interesting. I feel like we don't talk much about this vowel sound. But it's a sound that I notice French speakers have quite a lot of trouble with. Two words that have caused a lot of confusion in my life are color and collar. And you can imagine that that can be confusing because sometimes you actually want to talk about the color of a collar. So yeah, we do need to make a distinction between these two sounds, a and o. Color is couleur and collar is le col.
Editing, the pacing is something so different from what you're used to see. How to narrate this love story with the goal to surprise the viewer. Because trust me, at the end of the movie, you will make this face. Huh?
I heard her say it's different from what you're used to see.
So different from what you're used to see.
Careful here, we should say something that you're used to seeing. If you t'as l'habitude de faire quelque chose, used to seeing. And then of course we have past habits, which would be I used to see. For example, I used to see my grandmother every week.
Let's talk about woman in the movie because it's like such a central point. Challenger gives pride to the place of woman, highlighting their sportiness, but also their business acumen. Do you think with this kind of movie you're helping to move lines that one seems hard to shift for women?
Got a really nice question here about women. Careful, I heard this about 3 times, right? Lena, she said woman.
Woman.
Right, we have one woman, 2 or more women. Very strange, this change in pronunciation, right? Women. Careful here for the plural, right? So let's talk about women. Yeah, and I guess it's just, again, right, this kind of vowel accuracy. Tripping her up again. Sneaky vowels coming out of nowhere.
And most of my content usually is about fashion. A lot of people consider it as vain and superficial, but I do believe it's art, especially when it's mixed with cinema. What's your opinion on the importance of fashion in cinema?
It's so connected, but it's also such an incredibly different process to be a costume designer. I really enjoyed my fittings and finding.
So much. This is like music to my ear because I love when two art meet and create like different stories, so I love that.
Lena has some really nice expressions, right? She said it's like music to my ears.
This is like music to my ear.
Although I heard her say my ear. So careful, we have 2 ears. We need to say it's like music to my ears. Like I love hearing that. It makes me really happy. I heard Lena say cinema.
Cinema.
Again, right, one with that little vowel sound. So careful with cinema. We have I, cinema, instead of cinema. Last one, just for fun, from this year. Lena with Jennie from Blackpink. And if you don't know who Jennie from Blackpink is, unsubscribe from this channel. I'm joking. Please don't. Please don't. Yes, I do love Blackpink. Sue me. Jennie me relook. I love this. I love this word in French. Relooking. Never say a relooking, okay? It doesn't mean anything. It's weird. It's super cute in French. It is a makeover in English. To give someone a makeover. Let's have a look.
You will be my stylist for the day. We have different racks of clothes.
I know, I'm already having so much fun looking at these right now.
You know what? I think we're going to start with going out with the concert.
Okay.
Like usually on the concert, I'm more like on the comfortable side, except the first time I went to a concert, it was to see the Jonas Brothers. I was obsessed and I was like dressed to the nines just in case if Nick Jonas see me from the crowd, I'd be like, I love her.
Yeah, who doesn't want to be seen by Nick Jonas? I really love this expression here that Lena used. She said, I was dressed to the nines.
I was like dressed to the nines.
Meaning that you are just like really dressed up in like your nicest clothes.
It's so fun to talk with my sunglasses. Sorry, I feel like a bitch.
No, it's okay.
So how was this song?
No. I love this.
You created a monster, Jennie.
I love this new character.
Yeah, I just think that Lena is so natural when she speaks English, right? Here she said, you've created a monster, Jennie.
You created a monster, Jennie.
Right? She's embodying the attitude of her, how would we describe this outfit? A little bit sassy, a little bit confident. Love that. Yeah, you've created a monster.
Jennie, thank you so much.
I will be waiting for our next session if you ever need a little help.
Anything you need in Paris, you call me. My friends call me the mayor of Paris, so if you need any good addresses.
Yes. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, she said if you ever need any good addresses.
So if you need any good address.
I would just say, like, if you ever need any recommendations, like if you need any restaurant recommendations or if you need any tips or, yeah, you can't just call like something an address. Your address is like really the number and the street name of like where something is. All right, well, it's time for my analysis. So what did I think of Lena's English? She is just very confident and comfortable, right? She has such nice fluency in English, right? The words flow. She doesn't seem to be held back by anything. And I think that confidence is really key. Now, what I think is really interesting is I remember watching a video where Lena said that when she first started her blog and her YouTube channel, she actually did all of that in English because she was worried that people would judge her.
Et mes vidéos étaient en anglais au début parce que j'avais peur que les gens de ma classe ou dans l'école et tout se moquent de moi tout simplement.
Which I find so interesting because usually it's kind of the opposite, right? People who speak English as a second language, they're more worried about people judging their English. But for her, it's kind of the opposite. And I think there might be something in that. This is obviously my own personal theory, but it seems to me that perhaps, you know, Lena is she receives so much unwarranted criticism being such a public figure on social media that probably the thought of a few little rude comments about her English probably don't bother her as much as, you know, sort of the other criticism. And I think that's really interesting. You can see that she's just very confident. And what I really, really love about the way she speaks is the way she uses such appropriate expressions. She seems to have a really nice expression vocabulary, right? And she pulls out these expressions at the perfect time. I think her pronunciation is really nice. And some of these really tough sounds for French speakers, I think she pronounces them really well. I think her R is nice. The way she sort of gets around the TH sounds nice as well. I suppose what does really sort of stand out to me is her precision when it comes to vowels. We saw her sort of mixing some of these up. And in English, sort of just like in French, even though maybe we sort of focus on some of these consonant sounds that are hard to pronounce, like the R, the TH, even though those sounds are hard to pronounce, they're not the most important sounds, actually. What you really do need to focus on for meaning is definitely the vowels. I mean, even in French, for example, the difference between un and un can change the meaning of a word, and it's the same in English, right? So for example, the difference between woman and women. So I think that's probably something that Lena could focus on if she wanted to improve her English. Does she need to? Obviously not. She seems to have absolutely no problems doing her thing, interviewing celebrities, going to the Met Gala. Yeah, so does she need to? Absolutely not. It's like that old conversation between accuracy versus fluency. You know, obviously you want a decent level of both, but given that she is so fluent and her speech flows so well, it sort of offsets those little mistakes, right? That maybe her accuracy is not perfect. I really love Lena's English. I think it feels so authentic. It really feels like her when she's speaking. She, to me, feels pretty much the same in English and in French. So I'm gonna say a 17 for Lena. If you would like to practice some of these tricky vowel combinations and those final S's, don't forget to download the Lena Situation English Challenge from the description. Don't forget to download the speaker from my link in the description, and don't forget that you can get 40% off with my code GIA if you love it. If you would like to support this channel, you should check out my Patreon, and if you like this video, you might want to watch this video next. Bye!